स्वराज्य साम्राज्य विभूतिरेषा भवत्कृपा श्रीमहिम प्रसादात् प्राप्ता मया श्रीगुरवे महात्मने नमो नमस्तेस्तु पुनर्नमोस्तु नमो नमस्तेस्तु पुनर्नमोस्तु नमो नमस्तेस्तु पुनर्नमोस्तु नमस्तस्मै सदैकस्मै कस्मै चिन्महसे नमः यदेतद्विश्वरूपेण राजते गुरुराजते यदेतद्विश्वरूपेण राजते गुरुराजते। हरि तत्सत्। See, we should feel blessed that we are born in a country like Bharat, but I really doubt whether we think and whether we feel like that. The great blessings, the great culture, the lofty thoughts, the discoveries, which I call the greatest discovery of the world, much more than the scientific discoveries, all these have taken place in this country. But seldom we look to them, what our forefathers have given to us. We seldom remember it or try to understand it. That is why. That is why why our country is still surviving. Because we are surviving on the stock of the forefathers. Otherwise, with the present situation, whatever we are doing, the country would have completely got perished. You have not seen a country where it has remained under foreign rule for almost 700 years. कम या ज़्यादा करके इधर उधर करके 250 years of British 200 years of British rule, and before that about 700-800. It started from 750 or so. Foreign rule. Can you see any other country where the entire people have not got converted to either to Christianity or to Islam? Suppose the Iran and other places, Afghanistan and the whole other places. Afghanistan, of course, was within India. This is a country which still, that thousands of year old culture, the heritage is still surviving. It is still living. And it has sustained only because of that eternal knowledge and the eternal truth that we have discovered. It is because of that we are still living in a tolerably good situation with the backstock, with the stock of our forefathers which they have given us. हमारे पूर्वजों ने जो कुछ हमें दिए हैं उसके लिए हमें एक धन्यता की बोध होनी चाहिए. हमें धन्य फीलिंग होना, बोध होना चाहिए. वो नहीं होता है. हम सोचते नहीं, हम विचार नहीं करते हैं कि हमें क्या मिला है. अगर वो विचार करें तो हम अभी भी हमारा सुधार तुरंत होगी. हम वो धन्यता की बोध नहीं सोचते हैं उसके ऊपर. इसीलिए हमें इतनी परेशानी, इतनी करप्शन, सब कुछ हो रहा है. Yesterday we were telling in the press conference, later on we had a meeting there also, I was discussing that how amazing it is that for thousands and thousands of years, how many thousands we do not know because it is prehistoric. Whatever thousands of 5,000, 10,000 we can think of, before that all these Upanishads, they were there. The heritage was there. It was coming down from mouth to mouth, from generation to generation. Not only that, the knowledge was lived by people from generation to generation. So has any country lived for such a long period with even a fraction of this samriddhi, of this wealth, not only material wealth, adhyatmic wealth, knowledge wealth, value wealth, cultural wealth. We don't think about it. We don't look around the world and try to understand the situation. What happened to the other civilizations of the world? They might have risen to a height of economic prosperity for a few hundred years. We are all, with awe, we are looking at USA always, aping US fashions and everything. How old is the civilization in USA? It was started with the people who were exiled from Europe, criminals who were exiled from Europe. But they have developed well. But it's only 300 years or so. And even now, there is already adhapatan, the charitric, the characteral fall is already there. How could a country live for thousands and thousands of years with this kind of wealth in all fields? Cultural wealth, knowledge wealth, economic wealth also. Yesterday I read out the data that in 1700 AD also, the economy of India was 27% of the world economy, when the entire Europe economy was only 23%. And by 1950 it came down to 3% only, India. If we really go into that, for that nobody needs say that we are self-aggrandizing, we are boasting about our past. No, we have to look into the history. How many travelers from different countries, from China, from the Islamic countries, travelers have come and they have reported about all these things. It was an amazing country to them also. That is why they who came to rule us, they finally got integrated with the culture. It was with so much of a rich country in economically, culturally and knowledge. If we really know our country, we will feel blessed that we have been born in this country with this heritage. And this knowledge, this heritage is available to us. But we don't care to do that. That is the most repentable situation, we can say, that we don't look at it at all. It is our rishis who sang, Shrinmantu Vishve Amritasya Putraha Aye Dhamani Divyani Tasthuhu Vedahametam Purusham Mahantam Adityavarnam Tamasah Parastat. Shrinvantu Vishve Amritasya Putraha Aye Dhamani Divyani Tasthuhu Vedahametam Purusham Mahantam Adityavarnam Tamasah Parastat. Tameva Viditvati Mrityumeti Nanya Pantha Vidyate Ayanaya. Nanya Pantha Vidyate Ayanaya. This is the exhortation from our rishis. The rishis, I always refer to them as the scientists of India. Not scientists, they are more than that. They are subjective scientists of India. Why scientists? Because they were experimenting. They are experimenting with the objective world. They were experimenting with our subject also. Our modern science experiments only with the objective world. They don't look into who am I. But the rishis found that the whole objective universe is perceived by us. So first we have to know our perception and who am I. Then only the problem, the mystery can be solved. And they solve the mysteries experimentally. Whatever is written in the Upanishads, they are the record of experimental discovery of our rishis. Mark my word. They are not mystic philosophy, they are not philosophy at all. They are the record of experimental discoveries made by the rishis looking within about ourselves. After the discovery, they are calling everybody, oh, you, the children of immortality. They did not say that I am the son of Lord or I am only immortal and you are all small, you are far below me. Nothing like that. He is calling to everybody that all of you are children of immortality. What does it mean? We are always mortal. We are afraid about our death, about our losing. Death, don't think that death is only of the body. Anything that goes is a death for that. We are always afraid of losing what we like. We are afraid of facing what we dislike. We are surrounded with fear, fear and only fear. All the fears you can categorize in these two levels. We are in these two kinds. We are afraid of losing what we like, what I want to hold on to. And we are afraid of facing what we dislike. That is why the person we don't like, we want to avoid always. The situations we don't like, we want to avoid. Even if it is necessary to save somebody, if we are fearful of the people we have to interact with, we don't. We dislike to lead a revolution which is necessary for the country, but we avoid that because we dislike any disturbance coming to our life. We don't like to face any disturbance in our life. We always want to be in a very cozy luxury, in a very disturbance-free situation. That is true of others, not for the Adhyatmic. We are wrongly interpreting that those who are given to the spiritual life, they are always avoiding the life. Not at all. Their life is much more disturbed than others. They invite disturbance from the whole world. From all the people, whoever come to them, they invite that disturbance. It is by their expansion. They have embraced the whole world. Here is a rishi who says that, oh, you all children of immortality. Why should you have the fear of death? Why should you have the fear of losing anything? You are all immortal. Immortal means anything that remains constant can be immortal. Anything that is changeful can never be immortal. Change means the one thing is dying, another thing is getting born. The cause is dying and the effect is born. We should understand everything with a greater meaning. Anything that is the cause, it is dying. If you burn the book is dying and the ash is born. Every moment we are dying and getting born also. Our mind is not the same. 1 minute back also your mind perhaps was a little different. After you listen to some words, the mind is becoming different. So the old mind has died and the new mind is born. Everywhere there is death. This causality means birth and death is going on. He says that why are you scared of this mortal, changeful universe around? Because you are immortal. Why should you be holding on to mortal things? Why should you be holding on to perishable things? Because you are holding on to perishable objects, because you are holding on to perishable bodies that you are afraid of losing. Once you know that you are immortal, you never hold on to anything perishable at all. Things will come, things will go, people will come, people will go. They will not affect you. Your love will spread everywhere. It will embrace everything. Everything will be changeful, but that changefulness will dance on the non-changing, permanent, your own identity, I, what we say, that will never change. The whole universe will dance, the changeful universe will dance on that I, which we are always referring to, I, not knowing what the dimension of the I is. We are thinking that I is small, limited by the body, mind, personality, and that is why we are always afraid of death. We are afraid of losing. We are holding on to perishable things. Once we know the real identity, that what this real I is, we will never be scared of losing anything or facing anything at all. This is what you are, he says. Listen, you all the children of immortality. The meaning is this, that you know that you are immortal, you are changeless, you are the permanent. And that he is saying to all, not only to the people of India, but the people of the whole world. Even if some people is there in the moon or sun or wherever, it is applicable to everybody. That you are all children of immortality. Shinvantu vishve amritasya putraha aye dhamani divyani tasthuhu. Even if the devas or anybody is staying in any other world, it is true of them also. Aye dhamani divyani dhamani tasthuhu. Those who are there in the divya dhamas, it is true of them also. What is that? Vedahametam purusham mahantam aditya varnam tamasah parastat. How am I saying that you are all immortal? Because I have known that Purusha, which we are referring to as I, but not knowing its dimension. I have known that that Purusha which I am referring to as I, that is not small, limited by the puny body-mind personality. That is the Mahan Purusha, on which the whole universe appears to be. That is what that I is. Vedahamedam Purusham Mahantam. I have known that Purusha. That is why I am saying that it is a record of the experimental discovery. He says, the Rishi says, I have known that Mahan Purusha. I have known. He has done the experiment, he has found the result that this is the Mahan Purusha which we are referring to as I. And he is saying that you are all also that. That is why he is saying, if you want, you can also know. The fact is that you don't know, that is why you are suffering. You are fearful. But knowing that, you can transcend mrityu, death. Vedahametam purusham mahantam aditya varnam tamasah parastat. It is the sun blazing beyond the andhakara, tamasaha, beyond the darkness. It is not the physical sun which removes the physical darkness. It is the knowledge which removes the ignorance. What ignorance? Ignorance about our own identity. I am thinking I am small. Actually it is not so. So the knowledge shines like 1,000 suns that this is what I am. I have been unnecessarily deluded. I have been fearful that I am small. I am undergoing birth and death. I am affected by this, I am affected by that. You are not that. This Mahan Purusha you are, and that is how do you know it? By that Aditya Varnam Tamasah Parastat. It is like the sun blazing beyond the darkness. That is the knowledge which is shining beyond the ignorance, which removes the ignorance. Tameva viditva atimrityumeti. Tameva viditva. Knowing that truth. Atimrityumeti, you can transcend death. Now I said mrityu means not just the bodily death. It is death everywhere. Everywhere the change is going on, the changefulness, that losing this, facing this, everything is under that. So one transcends the mrityu, transcends the changefulness, transcends the mortality. Tameva viditva atimrityumeti. By knowing that alone, you can cross over death, you can transcend death, you can transcend changefulness, you can transcend causality, perishability. Nanya pantha vidyate ayanaya. There is no other path to this in this world. Without knowing this, if you think that you will become immortal or you will be crossing over all the maladies of life, no, it's not possible. Because perishability will hold on to you. You have to go beyond the perishability. You have to know your identity which is beyond the changefulness. Only then you can cross over that. So this is the call, the exhortation of our rishis of Bharat. But we are not listening to that call. We are not thinking about it. We are not looking at it and we are not trying to think on what basis did they exhort. What made him say that? Unless it was a sure experimental discovery, can anybody say like that? What makes him say? Often people wonder about Swamiji, that how Swamiji speaks like that, how Swamiji speaks like those who appreciate his lectures, they say speak like that. But they never think that where from the words are coming, what is the state or what is the gain. It is, I am calling it gain, it is not gain. What is the realization that Swamiji has from where these words are coming? Nobody thinks that. He thinks that he is a scholarly speaker, because we are enamored with words, we are enamored with scholarliness, we are enamored with the worldly wealth. So we miss the spiritual state, the spiritual wealth. In the spiritual sadhana also we have wealth. What is that? We call it Shatka Sampattihi. Similarly, who does not like expansion? Suppose, even when we are trying to expand our group, suppose we want more and more people to join our group. We want friends who will be liking us and we will be able to interact with us. Let us think about it. Why are we looking for friendship? Even in the name of religion, when people are killing others also, actually what are they trying? They are trying to increase their own fold. They want expansion. Wrongly thinking they might be killing others. But what they want to expand their own group. If 50 people work together, you will find that if you don't have interpersonal problems, when many people join together in a work, you will find there will be tremendous joy in such a work. Even if 2-3 persons working together, if you are alone, you will not feel like doing anything. Anybody would like to cook and take food alone? Normally not, unless it is some psychological defect is there. They would like to feed others. They would like to cook for others, or cook for himself as well as or herself, and as well as others, and take food together. That gives love. Even if you take for yourself, only cook for yourself and take, you will never have joy. You may like to do it, but the real joy will not be there. The joy will come only when you sacrifice for others, when you join others. It means expansion. So we should understand that everybody wants expansion, because the soul is not fragmented. The soul is one and universal. That is the soul property. Expansion is a soul property. The soul is infinite. There is no fragmentation at all. Artificially we thinking, seeing the body, and our selfishness, our delusion, our ignorance makes us small. So our real identity is universal, that anybody can think. You may say that I am not a spiritual sadhak, so I have not meditated, I don't know this. You may not know, but you can think about life and find out what are the properties we genuinely coming from within. That will tell you what is the soul. So the Viveka Buddhi is always, which is the Buddhi which remains connected, linked to the soul, to our Atma. It is directly coming from the Atma. This is what we call inner voice, that is the Viveka Buddhi. You cannot say, I don't have inner voice. When somebody is telling lie or hiding something or doing something wrong, is there not something, a voice from within telling us that you are doing wrong, which makes you constricted, makes you fearful, makes you weak? Is it not so? Can anybody deny that? That voice is the soul's voice, which is always telling you. But we are not heeding that voice. That is different. We are not heeding because we are overwhelmed with the objective slavery. We like something, we don't want to lose something. So even if the inner voice is saying that this is wrong, you don't do, but your sense attractions and mental some desires, etc., make you do that. That is not heeding the inner voice, we do it. But inner voice everybody has. This Viveka Buddhi everybody has. We are not allowing it to function because of the Vishaya Buddhi overwhelming the Viveka Buddhi. Am I clear? Or we have to agree to it. It is so. In our personality it is working like that. So, to allow the Viveka Buddhi to function, what do we have to do? We have to get over the slavery to the world, objects and objective situations. We are slave to the world objects and world objective situation. The moment something is a little wrong, maybe the food is not all right or the situation is not all right, we immediately lose our self-seatedness. We lose our mind, temper. Is it not slavery? Is it mastery? Say, suppose somebody tells you some words which you do not like, or say abuses also. Immediately we start abusing the other person. Is it mastery over ourselves or slavery? Have you not got subdued by the abusive words of the other person? When we are reacting in an abusive manner, are we not slave to the circumstances? समझ में नहीं आ रहा क्या? आ रहा. But we still do it. Knowing also, even now after getting out of the hall you will do it. Or going home you will do it. So there is an ignorance holding us. Knowing also we will do. Who likes to have a disturbed mind? You tell me. When the mind is constantly blaming others, criticizing others, or finding fault here and there, are you satisfied with such a mind? Is it not making you tense? All the tensions are because of that.